Hello, everybody. Welcome to our second interview with the Dirt to Done series on the home of Jim and Michelle Ducharme. Today, we're going to be talking about segment 3 and segment 4, and those were site preparation and the thrill of watching those walls start to go up after the project gets underway fully. And today we have with us Mark Elliott of Coventry Log Homes, and we're just going to talk a little bit about the process that went into finding the appropriate site and then preparing that site for construction, and then also about some of the intricacies that went along with getting the log walls out of the ground. So, Mark, welcome. It's good to see you again.
Good to see you, Mike. Looking forward to it.
Great. Here we go. Let's talk a little bit about site preparation. In talking with Jim and Michelle, one of the things that I remember vividly was that they had a long family history and knew approximately where they wanted to build their home, but they ran into a little bit of a surprise. And I thought it might be interesting for our listeners to viewers to hear a little bit about how you, when you encounter a situation like that, how you might overcome it. Theirs had to do with, I think, some rock that they hit fairly early in the process, Mark.
Yeah, when they were starting to dig for the foundation, they ran into some ledge, and I try to tell people right off the bat, you're going to run into something through the building project that's not going to go exactly how you plan. Might be the weather, it might be ledge, as it was the case for Jim and Michelle. It might be something else, the builder setback because of other projects that he was working on. But how you approach that whole project really makes a difference on how well it goes. There are some things that you can do to kind of offset or prepare for situations like that. I like people to have a contingency fund. I think Jim and Michelle did have that, some money set aside for the things that are just unseen that take place. And they obviously had that on theirs. And then I think they did what pretty much everyone does, which is to kind of look for areas that maybe they could cut back on right at the particular time, finish the home, but maybe work on some of the other finishes. For each individual project is different. Might be a basement that's not finished right at that point in time, or maybe landscaping that needs to be put off for a year. Having a contingency fund, maybe looking for areas that you can take on in the project, do yourself. You can ask and work with your builder. Depending on how handy you are, you might be able to save yourself some money there. But like I said, there's a good chance that something's not going to go perfect, and your attitude is really key in how well the project proceeds from there.
In other words, you can expect the unexpected, at least
Exactly.
to some degree in the whole process, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, tell us a little bit about some of the do's and don'ts, Mark, just in general, that actually go into site selection. When you look for a nice building site, are there some very basic elements that are involved in that site selection? And then how do you maximize the positive elements of a site selection? How would you go about positioning the actual footprint of the home on the site from an advisory standpoint? What would you say to folks that are looking to find a home site right now?
Sure. So Jim and Michelle's situation was a little different. As we had heard from Jim just a few weeks ago, that was some family property that they had available to them, and that was how they came to own that piece of land. For others, they're looking for properties maybe around a ski resort or a second home on a lake. So as you look for those things, you're really looking for, what do you want to wake up and look at every day? Where do you want to be? As far as the design portion of things, some things that are do's that Jim and Michelle did is they designed the home around their view. And in particular, I think that they had mentioned how important that back porch was to them, and being able to have a cup of coffee, enjoy that view. Often they actually, I think they flipped or reversed their plan in order just to be able to take advantage of that. Another area to consider is driveway approach, entrance to your home. Maybe as visitors come, is it going to be natural for them to know where to go, and how that approach will go? There's common, things that a lot of times people don't think about to this, but, it's just like carrying in the groceries. How easy is that going to be? If you can think and plan and design around that, with the land, the property that you have, that's great. Thinking ahead, just different things down the road. Maybe your home doesn't have a garage right now, but you hope to have one someday. Planning ahead for that. Parking for yourself, for visitors. Maybe you have recreational vehicles. You've got a camper that you want to be able to park, and just trying to take those things into your mind as you look at the building site, when you place the, of course, your sun and all of that plays into that. Your builder can help you with that. Your septic, your well, things such as that, setbacks that you need to take into account. But whatever you can do to think ahead for your driveway and things such as that. Some don'ts, I guess. One area that I've seen people skimp on is driveway. And they just want to get to building the house, and when they see a number that's allocated for that, driveway, where they might say, well, is there any way to cut back on that? And I think it's a good idea to make sure that you cut down, take out the gravel or the dirt, loam, sand, whatever that's there that shouldn't be. Put in some good gravel, some good fill, make sure there's a good slope to it. That'll pay dividends for years to come. So don't skimp in that area. Would be and drainage around the foundation, another area to really to take into consideration as you're planning and building.
Through the years, Mark, I've heard it said that the lesser amount of dirt that has to be moved, the better off you are, because it costs money to move dirt. In the case of Jim and Michelle, it costs money to move some rock. So yeah. Do you like the level building site? Do you prefer to use go with something like that as opposed to a situation where a lot of dirt has to be moved? Is there truth to that old statement?
Well, there is truth to, not having to move as much. That's good. Some people are blessed and they've got a really good level building site. Not a lot of material has to be moved or brought in. Maybe they can repurpose, and they may be able to take that topsoil off and use it when they finish around the property for a lawn and things like that. Get down to some good ground that will drain well and only bring in what you need. So there is some truth to that. But every building site is unique. I think Jim and Michelle realized they had an opportunity to have a walkout basement at one point. They weren't planning on, but they were able to work around. And so don't be dismayed if your property is not perfectly level. It might be on a slope, but you might be looking at a mountain, or you might be looking down onto a lake. So you got to look for the positive that's there and work around it. And it would be boring if we all lived on a flat piece of property.
There's certainly some give and take in that process. Hey, Mark, it seems like sometimes when you're involved in the project of building a log home, there's a lot of preliminary work to be done before the site is actually prepared for building. And then here's the package that's arrived, and finally we start to see logs go on top of one another and a wall starts to go up. That must be an absolutely thrilling moment for a homeowner. And I don't know how many times you might have experienced something like that in your career, but that has to be special. Can you tell us a little bit about how Coventry works with homeowners when that time finally arrives?
Sure. We've done it thousands of times, so it's pretty exciting. Going back to before the start of our company, we built log homes, so we were actually able to experience that hands-on. Myself, my brother, my dad, the rest of my family and things. It is super exciting walking through someone, their dream home that they're getting to build, giving them the expectations, what it's really going to be like. It's a lot of fun. Some of it is sobering. There are parts to the process. You've done, like you said, you've done all of this design work ahead of time. Some things have gone kind of slow, maybe slower than you wanted, but delivery day happens, and they start to stack the logs. Log stacking is super exciting. Um, the process, I think Jim had talked about this, how that the logs just going up and all of a sudden windows and doors starting to appear, the openings for those. That's actually a pretty fast process because of the pre-cutting that we did back at the factory. So that goes up pretty quickly, and that is very exciting for them. I try to make homeowners, as they go through this process, remember that some parts are going to go really quick like that, but there are going to be other parts that they're going to be slower. And not to get dismayed in that. Don't get mad at your builder. Your builder is making progress, even on those days that you can't see it. So again, your attitude as you go through that, you're seeing those days that are very exciting. And then you're going to go through some days that you're not sure, was anybody even here working? But they were. And just take it all in, take pictures, take lots of pictures. And it's exciting when you can sit on that back porch with a cup of coffee in the morning, or maybe watch a sunset in the evening, on a home that you designed and you built. It was built just for you. You're the only one that's ever stayed there before. That's pretty special stuff.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, kind of walk us through, if you would, how you set customers' expectations a little bit with the timeline. When you typically get a package ordered, and that it's going to take a number of weeks to do the prefabrication of the logs and get the package ready and then have it delivered, and then the construction will begin when the builder begins to take control of that. What kind of time frame, or how do you manage those expectations with a prospect or a client?
Sure. So we try to be right up front where we're at that particular time. Those that start in the fall or early winter with getting plans done, putting in for permits, and getting their builder lined up for the next spring, summer, even fall. Those projects go really, really well usually. As far as time frame goes, a package, if everything was perfect and we were in a perfect world where materials were delivered like they used to be and everything, you could be 6 to 8 weeks for a package to get delivered after you approved your plans and things like that, if everybody else wasn't building at the same time.
Sure.
Recently, it's probably been maybe the 8 to 10 to 12 week time frame for lining up those deliveries. And so those are realistic expectations. When the package gets delivered and they start construction, like I said, the log walls will go up really quick. Different parts will appear very quickly. The roof might even go on fast. When you start getting in all of the different contractors, your plumber, electrician, your heating, HVAC, all of those different components start to happen. There are some times when not everybody can be there at the same time, so certain processes are going up through. People ask, how long is this going to take to build? And it's different for everyone. I've seen people where their roof was on in 7 days. They weren't living in it that quickly, but it's really fast to build, that portion, the shell portion, but getting everyone else there. It used to be 3 to 6 months, depending on the project complicity. Jim and Michelle's home was a little more complex from that standpoint. You probably should figure somewhere between 6 months and a year, and just have those expectations. If it happens quicker, that's great, but that's pretty typical.
Okay, very good. Well, when it comes to the logs themselves, Mark, can you tell us a little bit about the options there and maybe the benefits of each type of log, and how you come to an informed decision about what type of log you want to use? And by type, I mean the way that they are cut, the way they fit, the look, and the exterior appeal of the logs. How do you help your clients make those types of decisions? What options are available?
Sure. So For us, we are a milled log. So we take a kiln dried can, a square rough sawn beam, and we run it through our planer right at our facility in Woodsville, New Hampshire. And we shaped it to the style you're looking for. We have several different ones that could be a round on the outside and round on the inside. A D shape, which is probably our most popular, which Jim and Michelle went with, which is flat on the inside, round on the outside. We offer some chink look type logs, a square look, and a few different things from that standpoint, a beveled log. As far as corners are concerned, we offer, our most popular is a button pass, which is mortise and tenon in the corner. The joinery is very tight, seals up really well. That's what Jim and Michelle went with. I'd probably say 75% at least of our homes that we do each year would be done with that. That's what my own log home that I live in and what our model is. We do a dovetail corner. We do a square corner. Both of those are done usually with different log styles. If you're doing like a chink look log or a square, that will be chosen and things. But really log style, it comes down to a personal preference, what you like. We offer different thicknesses and heights, everything from a 4-inch log that's really for a recreational, like a fishing, hunting camp type of a thing, to a 6-inch, an 8-inch, 10, 12-inch log that we can do but really the like I was saying, the D log's the most popular. Some of the advantages to that, Jim and Michelle went with that, installing kitchen cabinets, flush to the inside, very easy, you can hang them. Because we do use kiln dried, actual dry logs, you can attach them right directly to your kitchen cabinets, right to the log wall. Trim work is easier with a flat interior. The round outside of the D log, sheds water. There's less maintenance to it than maybe a log that seals with the use of chink type products and things like that. So, yeah.
Okay, well, tell us a little bit about choice of species. Are there certain preferred species for exterior logs, interior finishes, if the logs are half log, or different species for wood or for other accents in the home? How do you go about choosing the right species of wood to make the home what you want?
Sure. So we use Eastern white pine. Eastern white pine is, in the industry known, it's the top choice. There are a few other species that are used, but predominantly that's what you're going to see everyone using. There are some subsections of Eastern white pine. Not taking a dig at anyone or anything like that, but the Eastern white pine that is down south is not the same quality. The winters in New England help to produce a higher quality. We're very fortunate where our factory is. There's the highest concentration of the highest quality Eastern white pine in all of North America is within a 100-mile radius of our factory, and that's where we get all of our wood. The vast majority of the homes that we produce are the Eastern white pine. We do offer a white cedar. We don't offer red cedar, just to be clear on that. We offer a white cedar. There again, quality makes a difference. I buy in all of the wood. The wood that's going in your home is super important. So we don't skimp on quality and things like that. We don't buy the cheapest price out there. We buy the best quality. When it comes to like cedar, some are buying in product that is only 3 and 4 feet long, and they buy it a lot cheaper, but it's a cheaper product. And we choose not to do that. Our cedar that we buy in, we won't buy in shorter than 8 feet. It's a higher grade, and that we just choose to do that. But going back, Eastern white pine is it's without a doubt the top choice in our industry. It's what Jim and Michelle went with, and it's what my home is built out of. I would definitely build with Eastern white pine. There's no doubt about it. I would use kiln dried. That is what we dry it ahead of time before milling it at our factory, And it's a very high quality, product when it comes to that. Other finishes you're asking about or mentioning, as far as the uh, porches, decks, pressure treated, anything that's exposed to the elements that maybe is going to have water or snow sitting on it for any length of time. We do provide that in our package. Railings, or whether they be pressure treated, or we also offer a round cedar, rustic railing that a lot of people like, and those are very nice. Windows. Windows, we don't use any wood windows. As far as on the exterior of the home, they're all vinyl clad. They stand up to the elements. You're not going to have to go back and scrape paint or do anything like that. Good quality window. We use Andersen. There are some other good brands out there, but Andersen really stands behind their product really well. And that's important to us as a manufacturer, to our customer. So those are a lot of the finishes. When it comes to the inside of the home, floorings, and those type of finishes, we leave those up to the customer and their contractor to choose.
So we've got several opportunities there to express our own aesthetic, let's say, in the finished home. So that's nice to know that you can compare and contrast and come up with kind of a special look that you like, and utilize the cedar or the eastern white pine. All right. Let's talk a little bit about the construction process in Jim and Michelle's home. I believe they wound up, when they reached the roof section of the home, they had a decision to make about how they wanted to proceed, and that involved the type of roof that they had anticipated. Can you tell us a little bit about that and how that challenged the process, and what Coventry did to work with them to overcome that challenge?
Sure. So a lot of that was brought up and done and handled all during the design time.
Okay.
So when we work with customers, we spend a lot of time. We'll might mention this later. A lot of time during plans for approval and talking through their particular home, what they're looking for. Roof decisions, a lot of times are done from a structural design area. It's always part of the conversation when we design a home, and we take into consideration especially budget costs and what someone is looking for, how they want things to be finished in their home. So with Jim and Michelle, as we went through this design process, we hadn't cut any logs or done anything there. We spoke to them about different options. They wanted the exposed beam look, and some designs lend themselves to building with exposed beams. We call that our truss and purlin roof system, and it's beautiful, and lots of people love them. But they do have, from a structural standpoint, some limitations, and definitely some cost upgrades when you're trying to do big spans and things like that. And there are times when a traditional rafter roof system is a better choice because of maybe a span or a particular design, maybe not wanting a post in a particular room or an area of a room. You wanted a big, wide open space. The truss and purlin roof system can handle some of those situations, but there are times when a rafter roof, it's just a better cost-effective choice. And that was the case with Jim and Michelle's home, where they wanted to keep that area open. And from a construction standpoint, builders, they typically charge less to build a rafter roof than they will the truss and purlin. There's a lot more that's involved in that truss and purlin roof. They look beautiful, but again, there are some challenges there from a building perspective. So in their particular case, they have some truss and purlin in exposed beams in part of the home and in loft areas and different things like that, I believe in their case. But in that big grand living room area, to be able to have the rafter roof system was a better choice for them. And put in you can still do, exposed beams with that. You can still have that look of the beams in the roof, but doing it with a traditional rafter roof. So that was the choice that they went through. The biggest thing is that not everyone's the same, and it's what you're looking for, and doing that during that design time, we can really take and help you narrow down what you want it to look like, and also work with your builder, your contractor, to make sure that he's pricing it. And if he can save some money for you by going to a traditional rafter roof system, doing some false beams and things like that, you're still going to get that look and save some money too. That's a win-win.
Yep, absolutely. And I know Jim and Michelle felt like they came out with a positive experience as well in regard to that. And that leads me to my last question for you today, Mark. Coventry is such a vital partner in the process, from start to finish in the construction of a log home project, and helping the clients get from the notional into the real, and then move into their dream home and have that cup of coffee on the back porch and look at that beautiful landscape and mountainside or lake or whatever vista they may have. Tell me a little bit about how Coventry works with a client to provide the very best value in the experience, from the dollars, from the efficiencies, from the timeliness, from from a 360-degree view. Where does Coventry concentrate, and how does it deliver that value proposition to its clients?
Sure. So it starts with the design time. Sometimes design goes very quickly, but most of the time it's best if there's extra emphasis put into thinking through each of the rooms, how you see or picture yourself living in that home. So a lot of that is done during our design time. We can do 3Ds, we can do walkthroughs and things like that on certain times we do that. A lot of times coming to our factory and seeing particular rooms and styles, designs, the roof. We have pretty much everything on display right at our factory. Doing a walkthrough virtually on our website, that helps people to think through and kind of narrow down. In each room, I like this, and in this room, I like this. And so we spend a lot of time during that design phase helping you to get that home just exactly the way you want it to be. And we do that all completely before we ever mill a log or pre-cut it or do anything like that. It's such an important process. And too many times we hear of horror stories where people, they bought a plan online and they brought it to their builder, or maybe they didn't even have a plan, and the builder said, well, we can just wing it, we'll just cut the logs ourselves. And there's some things that run into some real problems there, things that are not thought through. So taking the time to think through is really important, and we try to help people to make sure they don't rush that. We design the home, we draw it, we send it to you, or you stop by and pick it up, sit down with us right there at the office and spend some time thinking through it. Maybe you say, hey, I want to move this window over 2 inches because I have a certain size dresser that I want to fit between these. Mm-hmm. We love doing that. We encourage people, they'll mark them up in red, and we make those changes, and then we show them to you again until we get it just right, and you are ready to sign off and say, yes, with these changes, I'm ready to go forward. That's all done ahead of time before we ever cut a log. And then as far as our process, we believe very, very heavily in pre-cutting the logs. The construction time is so much faster on site, and it saves so much money in the long run. There's no possible way that any builder with any piece of equipment that he can bring to a job site can cut a log with the precision or with the quality that we can with machines that are thousands of pounds bolted to concrete, with fences that are perfectly square and things like that. So we believe very heavily in pre-cutting, and that helps that process go much better. The quality is far greater because of the factory cuts there and things, and really better cuts mean a better finish in the end. We even pre-cut the gables, you know, the angles on the roof and things like that. Some don't do that. Some send you long logs and they'll cut them with like a chainsaw or something like that on site. And we don't do that. We pre-cut them. We cut those angles. We actually even dry stack them right in one of our. We have a special shop that's our gable shop. We cut gables and beams. That's all we cut in that building. We know that gable is 100% perfect. Those custom windows with the angles or whatever trapezoids or whatever you have for custom windows in those gables, we know they're 100% right because it's literally been stacked together right in our factory. So all of those things go into a better quality product in the end. You know, and from the beginning of that and helping somebody walk through pulling their permits, you know, we offer stamped engineered plans. They're not extra money. They are included. You know, there's no hidden fees like that in there. That helps to pulling a permit go better. And in the end, inspectors coming in, they're happy when they see those plans. The home is built right, and it just makes things go much smoother.
Fantastic. Well, that consultative approach, the experience, the precision, all of those elements add up to a fantastic journey from start to finish. And you've been with us today listening to a discussion on installments 3 and 4 of Dirt to Done with Jim and Michelle Ducharme. Mark Elliott from Coventry Log Homes, thank you so much for being with us today. I'm Mike Haskew of Log and Timber Home Living Magazine. Watch for future issues of the magazine so that you can follow the rest of the journey with Jim and Michelle Ducharme, and check us out online. And we'll see you again next time.